There's an ancient proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. I know many of you have taken steps to put, additional systems and processes in place, and congratulations for doing that. It helps keep customers served right and employees safe, especially in the midst of this pandemic that we're going through. Now, the good news is that if you did have systems in place BC, which means before coronavirus, and you were training on them all the time, all you need to do at that point was to just tweak the manuals that you had and the procedures, which already had protocols for things like PPE, personal protection equipment, and more. And then continue to train people on those new procedures. So kudos to you for having done that. Haven't done much of what I just said? Still scrambling? What you need to know is it's not too late. There's still a need for all of this. And you're not behind the 8 ball if you get going. So the need for additional systems and processes around this virus, or heaven forbid, future viruses or pandemics, because I don't know when this is going away and I don't know what's next. And I don't believe it's going away anytime soon, that we're back to just normal, if you remember what normal is. It's going to be some time before everyone is vaccinated. And even then, there will be some people that may not be able to receive those vaccinations. And those people will still need your services as well. So here are some helpful protocols you could put in place fairly quickly to make sure that your customers and your staff alike are being served right in this situation. Now, warning, make sure whatever you do aligns with whatever local, state, or federal guidelines, such as CDC, are in place wherever you operate. So for CSRs, customer service representatives, provide the CSRs with a script that reassures the customer that it's safe for the technician to come to their home, why that is so, and ask the following: is anybody at your home currently sick or experiencing symptoms? Judgment calls may be required. Empower the CSR to choose not to book the call or to divert that call into the future. You don't want your technicians getting sick. It's not worth it. But with training of techs and preparing them and doing the things you need, like we mentioned, PPE and CSRs, you can be more prepared so you have more options. Now, make sure in the script, the CSR explains to the customer what to expect on the call, how the technician will ensure they, the customer, are protected as they do their work, such as wearing a mask, gloves, shoe covers, face shields, using disinfectant. Spend some time listening to those calls of your CSRs. Make sure that the CSR is telling the customers in the best way possible what you need them to know, and tweak the scripts you have as needed. Now, for the dispatcher, they need to be following the notes gathered by the CSR and making sure that the techs are prepared to deliver on what was promised. Make sure they're working with the service manager throughout the day to maximize the availability of technicians, both because they're on jobs that may take longer to complete because of all the need for safety. Now, that's just normal in the COVID era. That's to be expected, in my opinion. Plus, the number of available technicians can be highly impacted by what's going through your company in terms of COVID, as they either get exposed or they have it themselves or been around some other things. It's bound to happen. Now, it should happen a lot less if you've been proactive in doing things that will minimize that. The dispatcher also needs to be using a written priority section in their manual that spells out the customers who have to love us, who has to like us, not so much, and what are you going to do? Those are the 3 levels. And so that makes it clearer about which calls we have to get done today and how we go about doing that. Now, for the technicians, create and enforce safety protocols that meet or exceed the CDC guidelines. The first thing on that list should always be that the techs must wear face masks, gloves, shoe covers from the time they reach the door. Now there are the Tyvek suits, there are the face shields, depending on the type of work you do and what's at the environment where you're working. The point at which they get back to their truck and go to the next call, they need to know all of this. Side note, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard from contractors, but also from friends and personally experienced even at my own home here, where a contractor showed up at my home without a mask or pulled something soiled out of their thing begrudgingly and put it on when pressed about it. This is a blatant disregard for other people's safety. And whatever your politics are, you're going to lose even the most loyal customer. You also need, Lizzie, open yourself up and your staff to infection. And I don't know about litigation down the road. My strong recommendation is don't do that. So one thing I always recommended, and now of course it seems brilliant, but the reality is customers never wanted to shake your hand. They don't know where it's been. Most people have become germaphobes. Well, you can understand today that is totally out. And I've been saying that for like 18 years. Figure out a way where the customer can pay you in a contactless way. This could be an app or your company's software on your tablet, on a phone call to the office, credit card number while you're there and wait. Nobody wants to touch a piece of paper or, God forbid, your pen. Write all these things down, capturize it. If you have manuals, it's an easy tweak. Once these things are documented, go over them again and again. Don't assume that they know it or practicing. You have to be repeating with all these people. With your techs in particular, they become part of the normal way to do business at your company. Repetition is the key to getting and keeping the right behaviors at your company. Now, the other thing I recommend, and this is going to sound really kind of counterintuitive to you, is to actually ramp up your marketing activities. Well, why is that? Because people may not realize you're still open for business unless you tell them. It also gives you an opportunity to differentiate you if you're doing all the great things I was mentioning and more from your competition. And by communicating these protocols, you put it into their idea that it is safe to do business with you. And now again, you become the company of choice. For example, you could put in an email out to all of your existing customers, letting them know that you're open and available for service. You also might consider making a TV buy, ramping up your presence on social media. Whatever the case, this is a perfect time for outreach. If you have a recording that customers listen to while they're on hold, it should outline, what are you doing to keep them safe? Again, a level above that, finally, and this is going to sound a bit harsh, and hopefully you won't take it the wrong way, but there's a lot of contracting companies that are not going to make it through this period. The reality is more than likely they're just going to have to close up. This is a wonderful opportunity for you, though, if you're in a great position to acquire companies. And so you need to be thinking about what you can do to be expanding your business. And actually, it's not like taking advantage. It's a big relief for some of these contractors to have a way out. Now, it still has to be a good deal for you. If you're not ready to do that, because that's too big a step, and you're able to put some money away for the future, a portion of every deposit in a rainy day fund, if you will, as my dad Irving used to say, it's really easy to take money out. It's really hard to put it back in. And my good friend Ellen Rohr has always wisely counts, money buys options. The contracting world has changed forever, in my opinion. And so to prosper, you need to change with it. In terms of what you need to know, what I shared here really is the tip of the iceberg. There's way more to this. You need to have systems and processes, and that allows you to see it as the sky is your limit.